Hey everyone, and let's get our mixed media messiness on and get creating. So I decided on this circle one with the scripty, distressed, grungy look. I've already forgotten the name of it, but check out my unboxing if you want to see what name of the stencil is. So I'm just using the silver glaze that we got from Vicky Burden, also in the kit, and I just want to have a flow, like a dip and I'm using my hands to explain, but that doesn't help because I'm doing a voiceover, not a video. So like go up from the side and then down to the middle and then up again, and same on the bottom but opposite, kind of, so that it flows and looks like I, have like colour flowing across the page. So that's what my idea is when I've stenciled here, and I didn't want too much to look blocky or anything, so I'm having a play with that. So just make sure you wash your stencil. Either go take it to the sink and wash it, or like I am here, using some baby wipes to clean it up. That way the texture paste, especially texture paste or paint or whatever, doesn't stick on your stencil, and then when you use it, then the shape isn't as clean as it could be. So I've got these 3 photos, three each taken at different times, different years, but in the same location of Floriade, which is a tulip festival here in Canberra that's done annually. And I just want to have a play with some of this acrylic paint and some water. So I've sprayed it across the middle there, and I want it to flow out from there, be a bit thicker in the middle, and on both sides of that, so the bottom and the top bit, have it thin out. But because I didn't wait for the silver glaze to dry, I can't play with it too much because it's dissolving some of that texture paste and moving around when I use the paintbrush. But I make it work because it sort of distresses it a bit more and blends it in at the same time. So just using a baby wipe to take up some of the colour, just because I didn't have any paper towel. But the baby wipe is a bit softer than paper towel, so if you don't want any big amounts of paint taken off, it's not a bad idea to use a baby wipe. So I've just mixed some of the paint and the water on the paper, on the mat behind the layout, so that I can have more of that flowiness going on, and just having a play with it, moving on the page, making some of them I'm doing sprinkles now, but making some of them flow a bit more purposeful than just random. So just doing my splatters on the top and the bottom. It's easy to just mix in these acrylic paints with some of the water. The Kaisercraft ones are really good for that. The thickness of it tends to just mix well with the water, and others do as well, but I don't seem to do it as often. I don't know why. So on the top of my head, I can't think of other paint brands that is so easy to do at all. But I've got out the pink, which we also got in the kit, and I just wanted to add a bit of colour, a pop of it, like 3 or 4 spots of it across the page. But then I decided to make it more look like it's flowed across, that it's not just random spots of colour. So once again, I've just put the paint on the mat, added some water and mixed it in, and then I have a separate section with just water so that I can thin it out a bit more on sections of the paper, so that if it was, the paint was going well and it just needed a little bit more of water to make it sprinkle down, then I have that option. Free and easy to go. So this is just one of those, the mats that I'm using is just an IKEA desk mat, and they're like $9 or something, and they are meant for just to protect your desk from drawing and all the writing and all the normal work you do every day. But I find they work really good. They're a great size, but also the black is working really well. There was a time when the white of my desk was reflecting with my lights, and it just was making the video distorted and really bad. So I've gone back to this black mat, which is what I started with in the beginning, or very close to the beginning, when I started video filming process videos. And then it got quite dirty, because if you don't clean it straight away, it's obviously not made for paint on it. If you don't clean it, it stays really easily. So, but you can see I clean it off, and there's no problem, just use a baby wipe. So same, like I said, I'm just adding some colour across, making it look like it flows. Keep it in mind that I want to have the photo cluster in the middle somewhere or to the side a little. And I've done some ink splatters, and acrylic paint watered down is really fun for big splatters that sort of go in like a line and end up being lines, as well as just dots in a line, and having them quite really fun. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about the wanting those kind of splatters. So just drying it off. You've seen I stuck my photos together so that the cluster works, and I'm just trying to work out where I want it to go. So the other thing to keep in mind is when you're doing mixed media that you might end up turning your page around. You also will end up covering some of it, if not a fair amount of it. So if it as a whole doesn't look like it flows properly, just keep in mind that a chunk of the section will be covered up, and while you're playing, have that in the back of your mind. Okay, yep, I want this section to be covered up. It might change, but in my mind, this started, and I've turned it upside down as it finished, and I thought I was going to put it to the middle, but more to the left, having these photos, but I end up putting it on the right, in the middle to the right a bit more. So definitely, as always, keep in mind to be flexible. So now I'm just layering some colour behind the photos so that they pop out from the page, just adding something else. So I'm adding 3 layers, and I literally am just adding a small border as I cut around the photos. It's not something I often do. I tend to not really layer photos like this, because if I put them all together, I sort of feel this kind of layering doesn't work too well, but it worked today. At this stage, I was like, oh no, why did I do it? But what actually needed to happen was the black and white, the middle layer, I cut too big to have a layer behind it. So I go in, so here I'm going in and cutting that white and black layer down a bit more, so it's a thinner border, and then I go around and cut the blue and white, or mint and white, whichever colour it is, down as well, so that it is an even border and not so overwhelming. So you can see there, it just looks like it's the perfect spot for it to be, and we're going to finish the layout with some embellishments and a title. I do pull out these doilies, and I actually add 2, which is something I always going to say never, but I guess there's never and never, but I'm pretty sure I haven't done before. Usually you just have one doily, and even if it doesn't cover the whole background, you still just use it like that. So I thought these thickers might be an idea to find something that worked. I really love these thickers, so I was trying to find something that would work. But in the end, I go with the Bloom and Grow, because it is the Tulip Flower Festival. That title is just cute. And it's my 2 boys every year having a photo taken in front of one of the tulip garden beds. And that is just, I don't know, something interesting. So I figured that title is not something I would use normally. So being able to use it on this page, because it relates, therefore means that I should use it before I hoard it. So I'm going to stick it on. And I'm really liking how well the black just pops. Couldn't work out the placement of that G's to make it look like it flowed, but the way it is now, it's fine. I end up leaving it like that. So I wondered if I needed that ampersand up the top here, but it just takes up too much space. So I'm going to put it on that second line next to the Grow and have it just a 2-line kind of title. That way it's more concise with the photos rather than taking up a whole chunk and covering up a lot of the mixed media. I like that it's sitting on the bottom of that, sort of like sitting on the shelf of mixed media, but also nestled in with the photos. Thought I'd pull in a heart because they're hearts, and why not? And then I'm experimenting with making them white. Even though I like the black, I didn't want to bring in too much more black. So I pull out my paint pen and try just a random heart that's sitting on the sticker sheet, dry it up a little with the heat gun, and realize that it's going to color it white enough, because they are foam thickers. So I thought maybe they would just like wood veneer, it would just soak up the colour straight away and I'd have to do multiple layers. But it didn't need that at all. Did need a fair bit of paint, but it didn't soak it up to a ridiculous, never-ending capabilities of drinking all the liquid paint. But it worked really nice, and I like how it's white on top of that mixed media going on. So I thought I'd just nestle this photo here. I did hesitate because it is orange and I don't have anything orange going on. It's the pink and the mint, but I do like it there because of the style with its stem and its leaves and it hanging over. It just is the perfect size and fit. So I try and nestle in some of these tiny words, but over time I end up pulling that sticker off and going with something else just because I couldn't handle the fact that it is orange. So up here I just put a tab sticker. I'm using 2 of these thicker flowers from that thicker sheet and a heart. So I try and pull in some of the orange, but again, that comes off as well. So I'm going to put one of these ribbons on. I so wanted to hoard them, but I was good and used one of them. And I'm going to use some of these enamel arrows just to build out this cluster. So a pink one here, just because that's a little bit cute. Well, a lot bit cute, a lot of bit cute, a lot of cute, whatever the thing is that I'm trying to say. So gluing down that ribbon, just using the wet glue, easy to do. I've got my enamel dots out so that I can get ready, and here's where I decide that I need to get rid of that orange flower. So I find this beautiful butterfly die cut, bend it up the middle, put some glue in the middle and bend its wings so that it's like flapping off the page. And I try and bring an orange flower in, but I just can't do it. So I'm going to pull off that orange flower from that bottom where the title is, and instead I'm going to use 2 die cut flowers. Again, like the butterfly, bringing up the edges and keeping the middle stuck down so that it looks 3D. Rather than flat to the page. And I'm just going to nestle a second flower in. I was looking for a bluey mint one, but it just wasn't right, so instead I go with another shade of the pink, which works really well. So you can see there that just ties that off better than the orange flower did. And I pull in this arrow, which actually end up not using that one and a different one, but the same color, to make sure it had something stuck in the enamel. So it was making it was obvious only when I put it there by itself. When it was on the backing sheet I didn't even notice it, but it's okay. I'm going to put this one here, and then I realize there's a bit of trapped space between the arrows and it needs another word sticker. So it's the perfect size for it. I do go through and my die cut words just to see if there is anything, and I try to add this ticket because it's just cute, perfect saying and a perfect color, but it wasn't the right size and shape to go with the layout because I'd made it like I'd nearly finished. If I was earlier on the piece I probably could have made that one work. So adding that word sticker there and adding some enamel dots. I do add some enamel dots up to this cluster, and then I pull in 2 word stickers as well. So it's always good to have word stickers, and Cocoa Vanilla Studios always delivers on that front. So in we go, and this is going to be the end of the layout. So hope you've enjoyed how this layout has come together. I really like the finished look of it, and I hope you do too. Anyway, I'll catch you in my next video, and until then, take care and happy scrapping. Bye guys.